What is going on, everybody? You are back for another week's edition to close out the week with myself. I'm Paul Maharry alongside Trent Smallwood, who's been hustling and grinding today out at 7-on-7 camps and seeing a ton of prospects. We've got a great show for you tonight lined up. We're going to have Dave McMahon on to talk stats with us. We're going to have Anthony Dasher talk UGA baseball and their big-time wins this past week. Also, some recruiting updates for you guys from what Trent saw today, a couple things from what Jake Roos saw today. Georgia's men basketball. Are they going to make it to the NIT? The teams are down from 32 to 16 due to COVID concerns, and the bracket will be revealed tonight, I think, while we're live. So we'll have a live reveal on that. And then also we have the O-line predictions, Trent, for the beginning of the season against Clemson and then the ending of the season against Georgia Tech from everybody at UGASports. We kind of did a media poll, if you will, to see about that, and we'll have that in as well. So if you guys are watching, make sure, as always, to put in the comments where you're watching from. We love to hear from you as well. The line is open, 706-363-3773. And Trent, we'll start it off, man. You were hustling and bustling just to get to the show, man. What did you see out there? You were in Carrollton, right, for 7-on-7 today, huh?
Yeah, I was at Carrollton, and actually I was going out. Gunner Stockton was playing. His Hustle Inc. squad was playing. I didn't have a schedule this morning of the bracket play, so I showed up, and they have 6 fields going. And the soccer field is about it's a long little walk to the football stadium. And I was at the football stadium, so I ended up walking to the soccer field, and they had already been eliminated. And it didn't sound like Gunner had the best of day this morning. There were 3 interceptions in the game this morning, but they said that he struggled a little bit, and so they were eliminated early and went home early this morning. But there was it gave the chance for me to get to know some kids and actually get to know some parents standing around, and it was just good to be back out and mingling with the recruits, mingling with the parents, and just being able to get out there and be comfortable again.
Right. Were there any guys that you saw that Georgia had their eyes on, or any guys in general that kind of caught your eye that maybe Georgia needs to maybe take a closer look at?
Yeah, I saw a few guys that stood out. One was he actually played for Hustle Inc.'s second team. He is his name is KJ Conley. He's out of Woodland High School, a predominant a predominant running offense up there at Woodland. And his stats last year, he only had about 200 yards, only 3 touchdowns, but he was really good. I mean, he looked like a guy with a lot of burst, and when he caught the ball over the middle, he stepped into a whole nother gear. So he kind of caught my eye for that hustling, the second squad there. Another was trying to go through my notes here.
Take your time, brother. We got all day, big dog. Just take your time. What you got?
Kid out of another thing is Logan Johnson was there.
Walk-on
receiver.
So before you talk about Logan Johnson, he is the walk-on receiver. He was going to go to Troy, 5'6", I think he is. He was Brock Vandergrift's big target over at Prince Avenue Christian School, and he got his preferred walk-on spot at UGA, and he'll be enrolling shortly. So what did you see in him, Trent? I know a lot of people are actually really excited about him, even though he's only a walk-on and he's 5'6".
I was actually surprised. I mean, he's 5'6", plays a lot bigger than 5'6", but dang, he's got unreal hands. Him being such a small target, he was able to catch balls off the ground. He was just everywhere on the field, and you could tell he was just asked to play this weekend. I don't think he's full time on that team that he was at, D1 Elite, I think their name was, or Elite Ducks, I can't remember which one, but I don't think he's full time on that team. But he was on the squad this weekend, and you could tell he was kind of their go-to guy at the slot. And I mean, he's really good. I mean, I think his size is a concern for sure, but he kind of reminded me of that Isaiah McKenzie type. They can do a lot of stuff, and he's got the speed, he's got the quickness. He's just a sure-handed receiver over the middle that has some athleticism, no doubt.
Now, obviously, you were able to see some other guys out there. Were you able to take a look at Travis Hunter, the Collins Hill wide receiver / DB that's committed to Florida State? But everybody in the state of Georgia or that follows Georgia recruiting or is a huge Georgia Bulldogs fan wants this guy to show up on a Georgia field in Athens. It doesn't sound like that's going to be the case, but were you able to take in any eyes on him?
No, but I talked to some people around him or people at the event that said how good he was. They said they saw him play this morning. And he was just everywhere, and which is not surprising. I mean, he is a heck of a football player. So yeah, they did say that about him and another kid, DJ Moore out of Archer. He actually battled a knee injury. He's overcome the ACL, and he's on Hustle Inc.'s first team. But he is a guy that's his coach said he's a legit 4-4 guy, just explosive athlete. He actually 3 days ago he received his first offer from Maryland, and I can see this kid blowing up here coming up. He's about 6'1", 185, talented kid.
And he's a class of 2022, you said?
Yes.
So, yeah, Georgia's going to be, obviously needing some prospects for that wide receiver class in the class of 2022. I know you weren't able to see a ton of Hustle Inc., obviously, because, like you said, they were eliminated before you were even on site. It seems like they had a bad day. So, but overall, your impressions of what all that was and what that entailed for you being out there, seeing those 7-on-7 guys and seeing that go and move forward.
Oh, it was awesome. I mean, there was, I can't even put on a number count of how many people were out there, but thousands of people out there. And,
really?
Oh yeah, and there, and a lot of them were masked up. A lot of the parents were masked up, but it was just good to see the kids out there competing and parents being able to be on the sidelines and cheering on their kids and. It was an exciting event. I know that there is also a kid. He's an underclassman. He's let's see here, 2000. I think he's 2024.
These kids are getting younger, man. These class make me feel old, man. That's 15 some odd years after I graduated high school, man. I'm feeling old.
McCravey, I think it is.
Okay.
24 quarterback from Hillgrove, name to watch. The kid can sling it. He is he's only about 6 foot. Of course, he's only 15, but
right.
He has got he's got his arm is talented. He has got a talented arm. Ball zips out of his hand, and he's a kid to watch here moving forward. 24 quarterback out of Hillgrove.
So, guys, like we said, we are live right now. We can take your calls at any time. So, 706-363-3773. Our man Dave McMahon is about to call in, I think, in just a few minutes. If he's listening now, he can call in now. We want to talk to him about his stats. But, guys, if you're watching in YouTube, make sure to drop a comment if you're not going to call in. Let us know where you're watching from. And you can also drop your questions in the chat as well, and we can answer them that way. We love talking to each other, myself and Trent, but we want to hear from you guys just as much. We want to answer your questions as best to our ability that we can. And if we don't have the answer for you, we can get that answer for you over on UGASports.com and make sure that you guys are well informed on every sport that Georgia has right now, because right now, football isn't all that big. Trent was out there at a 7-on-7 camp, and, we thought he was going to be able to see Georgia's quarterback of the future. Unfortunately, they were eliminated early, so he wasn't able to do that. So we want to get your questions as much as possible, and I think we've actually got Dave calling in right now. So thanks for calling into the UGASports.com call-in show with Paul and Trent. Who do we have the pleasure of speaking with?
This is Dave McMahon.
Dave McMahon. Dave, I'm going to take you to a one-shot. Me and you are going to have a chat. I'm going to give Trent a little bit of time to relax. He's been running around hard today and tried to make the show. So what's going on, Dave? You got some stats for us today, brother?
Yeah, of course I have some stats today. Hopefully you could hear me. I can't talk too loud because I'm in, like I said, I'm in the Delta Sky Club, and I don't want to disturb other people around me right now.
We can hear you great, brother.
Perfect. Yeah, I'm flying home just now, and then I go home, and then 9 hours later I turn around and go to the NCAA tournament in Indianapolis. Unfortunately, Georgia will not be there.
I don't think we had any indication that we were going to be making a trip out there to Indianapolis for Georgia. But at 8:30, Dave, we do find out if Georgia could potentially be in the NIT.
Exactly. I mean, and Georgia hasn't had a ton of success there either. Georgia's 13-14 all time in the NIT. With the last time they've been in was 2016. But the year before that, they were in there in 2017 is the last time they were in there. 2016 is the last time they won. But both games were against Belmont. So hopefully, who knows? But I mean, this year it's a little bit different. If you know, only 16 teams in the NIT compared to a normal like 32. So
you took my stat from me, Dave. That's on my paper right here, man. I was beating you to it. Beating you to it.
Okay. Well, do you know the last time they won in an NCAA tournament game?
Who, Georgia?
Yeah.
No, I don't. What was it? When was it?
Technically, the last time they won was in 2002 against Murray State, but since that game is quote unquote really doesn't really count according to the NCAA, 1996 was the last time Georgia was in there.
Hold on, so you really skipped over that right there, Dave, and I want to get back to that. You said the NCAA doesn't count that win in 2002. Why is that?
That little Jim Herrick team wasn't as quote unquote kosher as the NCAA would like it to be.
Yeah. Okay. So, yeah.
So they're technically Georgia has a 7-12 record, but 5-10 is what the NCAA says all time in the NCAA. Obviously, with a big success in 1983 when they made it all the way to the Final Four. The year after Dominique left. Not like a lot of people think it's the year that Dominique was still there. No, it was the year after Dominique left. Was the year they made it to the Final Four. And which I think Georgia, once again, is the team that provides history because they lost in the Final Four to NC State. NC State ended up winning it all, and that's the whole. Everyone sees Jim Valvano dancing around and stuff like that. So without Georgia, Jim Valvano wouldn't be dancing.
Oh wow!
So they were gracious. They were gracious enough to lose to them. After defeating teams that was led by Michael Jordan, led teams by Chris Mullin. So that was a pretty good 1983 team. So yeah, I want to talk about a little bit of that. Also, if you watched any of the professional golf here at TPC and Sawgrass right now, Brian Harmon, former Georgia Bulldog, finished third, which is pretty good. I mean, he has 7 career third place finishes to go along with a 1 runner up and 2 wins all time. So the third was pretty impressive. He almost got a hole in one on the 17th hole today. He left it about 7 feet before he birdied that hole, but Georgia did have a hole. Former Georgia Bulldog did have a hole in one this week in Brandon Todd. He had his first career hole in one on the 8th hole on Friday. So that's pretty impressive. You go to YouTube to check out the hole in one there. I have played that course before, and I basically got about 111 total. So it's not really anywhere close to those guys. So,
they had 10 guys in that, right? Georgia did.
They had 10 guys. I believe I read somewhere that Harris English possibly withdrew beforehand. I'm not 100% sure on that. Only a handful, like less than half, did make the cut, though, unfortunately, for Georgia. But Georgia, for the last, historically, they're the best team in professional golf. If you go by the money earned by former golfers, there's a website called RivalsCup.com. that has a list of the last 7 or 8 years about what the most money won by each school and so that. And Georgia has won 4 or 5 of the last 8 years or so.
Wow.
So pretty impressive on their part. I also want to talk a little bit about baseball. I don't want to go too much because I know you're talking with Dash, and Dash is the king of Georgia baseball media. And that's not even an understatement. I mean, he's there more than any other people throughout the years and years and years. Obviously, Georgia's won 6 in a row. They're 13-3 right now. Of those 13 wins, 4 of them are walk-off wins, which is pretty incredible. But the Tate brothers are pretty much racking in. Connor Tate is batting .410 this year, and Cole Tate is batting .333, so that's not too shabby right there. Corey Collins and Josh McAllister, two freshmen, are looking pretty darn good. Also, Collins is batting .364 when McAllister is batting .375. So the future is pretty bright for those two dogs. But the most important, impressive thing with the dogs right now is their pitching. Right now they have an ERA this season of 2.35, and their opponents are only batting 190. Now the 2.35, the Georgia's record is officially at 2.97, which happened in 1958. Although last year they had an ERA of 2.52, so the 2.35 is a lot less. Now obviously
Wow.
they haven't played a competition that they
Sure.
like the rest of the season is going to be pretty tough with the SEC's. So like people talk about how incredible the football conference is. It's a baseball conference by far with the amount of how many stud teams there are in that conference. I mean, you look at Florida, you look at Vanderbilt, you look at Ole Miss, you look at Arkansas, you look at LSU. I mean, this goes on and on and on. And this week is another one that Georgia playing Tennessee this upcoming weekend. So that's going to be a pretty tough matchup to begin with there. I want to talk very little bit about softball. Softball, baseball's won 6 games in a row. The softball has even more. Softball's won 16 games in a row right now. They're sitting at 19-3 right now, and their team ERA is at 1.11. So I mean, Georgia's at 2.35. Their softball team's at 1.11 right now. And then I want to talk a little bit quickly about about football, because I know most of the people want to know more about football. I know there was a good article this week about Ben Cleveland won best friends 50 times in the pro days right now, and obviously the record right now is 49, held by Stephen Pay, P.A.
Yeah, Pia.
Pia, yes, for Oregon State, former New Zealand guy, but also in the top 5 in those things is Jeffrey Owens, a former defensive tackle for Georgia. He had 44, so I mean that's not too bad on that part. And then I read also somewhere that Drew Brees is retiring.
Yeah.
And so I obviously everyone remembers him with the Saints and stuff like that, and a little bit with the Chargers. But my favorite game ever by him was the 2000 Outback Bowl against Georgia, where they were up 25-0 before they ended up losing 28-25 or 20-25 in overtime to Georgia. So I mean, Jim Donovan's team beat Drew Brees back in the 2000 Outback Bowl, which is one of my favorite things. So although Brees did go 36 for 60 for 378 yards, 4 TDs, and a pick. So
if I'm not mistaken, Dave, before I let you run, I think Jim Chaney was the offensive coordinator that year for Purdue, if I'm not mistaken.
I believe I have read that on UGASports.com. They have every fact you need.
Everything you need, man.
They have great analysts and great writers and great everything you need, including Paul Maharry.
There you go. Well, Dave, man, we appreciate you so much for giving us some stats, man. You be safe on your flights, and can't wait to hear from you next week while you're up in Indy working March Madness.
Sounds great. All right. Have a good day.
You too, brother. And Trent, just like that, you're back on the screen. Boom, look at that magic, man. Trent, hopefully you got a bite to eat right there. I know you've been working hard, like I said, out there covering that 7-on-7 for us. We're going to have Anthony Dasher join us in just a bit, Trent, to talk baseball. I'm going to let him in on a few things. But before we do that, Jonathan Taylor says he's watching from Gainesville, Georgia. He says he's got 2 questions. He says, what are y'all's thoughts on Evan Stewart out of Texas? Trent, you got that one? Or do you have any thoughts on Evan Stewart?
Evan Stewart.
The name isn't ringing a bell for me right now, to be honest. 100% honest, it's not ringing a bell. Doesn't mean that, Trent doesn't have something up his sleeve. While he's looking that up, his other question Jonathan Taylor wrote was, when do these transfers actually sign with the teams they are transferring to? Can they sign anytime, or is there a date? Thoughts on, and then it's a 3-part question. He says, thoughts on Georgia still pursuing Darion Kendrick after the recent news on him. So while you're looking up Evan Stewart, Trent, see if you have any information in the back of your head on that guy. Chuck Ward says, hey, guys, listening from Huffman, Texas. Appreciate the love all the way out there in Huffman, Texas, Chuck. We're adapting right now to daylight savings time. It's still light. No, I think the sun's down now, but we are getting used to that. So we had dinner. It felt like at 4 o'clock before the show. So appreciate you watching, Chuck. Trent, any update on Evan Stewart? Were you able to find anything on him?
No, I just see that he recently backed off his pledge from Texas. I haven't heard much on this end. As far as I'm sure Georgia, I mean, he's a top 100 receiver. Georgia tends to go after all these kids, and I'm sure it'll be no different here. We'll see. we'll see if that interest really if visits are able to open back up. I think you can see a lot of interest.
No, yeah, now that I know who we're talking about, Chuck Ward helped me out there with the wide receiver from Fresco, Texas, and like you said, he just decommitted. I do know that Cortez Hankton really wants to get him on campus, and said that they have a really good bond. So I think it's going to be one of those things, Jonathan, where sorry, my mind went completely blank when you threw me that, but with Trent saying that and Chuck saying that, I think he's one of the guys that you really need to get on campus to try to lure him out of the state of Texas. After the decommitment, I think that, I think Georgia could potentially stand a good chance because of his relationship with Coach Hankton, but we will kind of watch and monitor that one moving forward. And sorry I had such a huge brain fart on that one there for you guys. Trent, let's see here. What else do we have, brother? Let's go ahead and I'm going to give Anthony Dasher the okay to give us a call. So ready. We're ready for him. We had another question come in though, Trent. Your thoughts on Georgia still pursuing Darion Kendrick after the recent news on him? What's your thoughts on that?
Honestly, with the smoke coming out, when he was kicked off Clemson's team or dismissed from the program, and then him entering the portal, I think Georgia did their homework, and I do think there was some red flags there. I think this puts the red flag to rest. I think I really don't see Georgia pursuing that any further.
Really?
I mean, that's my opinion. I haven't read into what.
I think
exactly.
I think Dash is giving us a call, Trent. So you're saying no on him. We'll ask Dash as well, but will we get him on? Okay. Hey, Dash, what's going on? It's Paul and Trent. Hey, Dash, you with us?
Yeah, I'm right here.
Hey, brother. We were just actually talking, before we talk about baseball that we want to talk to you about, we had a question in the chat, Dash, and for those of you guys who are watching, Anthony Dasher, if you don't know who Anthony Dasher is by now, well, I don't know what to tell you. My man does it all. He covers everything UGA. He is the godfather of covering Georgia baseball and knows everything about those guys. But, Dash, we had a question in the chat. When we were just talking about this before you called in. Thoughts on Georgia still pursuing Darion Kendrick after the recent news on him? Have you heard anything on your front on that?
I have not heard anything on that, but I would be personally very surprised if that was really still the case. I mean,
right.
One thing Coach Smart does not want this year, I mean, is them hopefully having a very good season. They don't want something that's going to distract from that and his issue. Again, not saying innocent, guilty, whatnot. They don't want any kind of I think headaches for any players.
Right.
So, I always don't think it's as good of a chance now as it would have been, before all this stuff went down.
I know. I think that it was kind of the perfect storm for Georgia with him, getting dismissed from the team. Had this not come up, I think, Georgia could have potentially really been in the hunt for Kendrick and really could have helped lock down one of those cornerback positions. And we're still kind of waiting for the other shoe to drop, it feels like, on that cornerback position. Before we move to baseball, Dash, how firm are you on a 1 to 10? With the two corners right now? If you were the head coach, how comfortable would you be with the guys you have on campus right now?
I honestly would be pretty comfortable. I mean, you look at it from a talent perspective. These are all 4-star, 5-star kids. I think
sure.
I think I did some math. I think only the two of the scholarship guys they had were not at least a 4-star, cornerback coming out of high school. So from a talent standpoint, I think they're plenty happy. But again, it's just you're talking about this very little no experience. I mean. Amir Speed has played a lot of football, but most of it's been in mop-up duty, does special teams, where otherwise you're just talking about Jalen Kimber and Darren Branch, and as guys who have played in a college game before. They're only talking about 3 contests for those two guys combined. So that's the problem. Just haven't got guys who have actually done it in games, but from an actual talent standpoint, physical talent. I mean, they've got some good players.
Right, and I guess the biggest problem that I have moving forward is you don't have Nicholls State to start the season, Dash. You got to play Clemson, man, and that I think that's what everybody's afraid of.
No doubt, and I don't blame them for being afraid of that. I mean, even though Clemson will not have Trevor Lawrence, it's still going to be a very potent offense, and it could very well be the biggest challenge they have over this one about the bat up in Charlotte on that first game. And
let's switch over to baseball real quick, Dash. We'll have Trent ask you a question after mine, but 13-3 record, Dash. You obviously said it. They haven't played really any SEC teams, but man, we talked about my guy Collins, and he's hitting 364 right now. What's your overall thoughts on this team?
Like we spoke last time, it's a very young team. It's a talented young team. Things will we're going to get a whole lot tougher starting next week with Tennessee, but against the teams that they played this first month, they've done exactly what they needed to do, and I think we're seeing some some signs that it's going to be a very good group of kids. I think moving forward over the next 2 years. You mentioned Corey Collins hitting 364 full home runs, but 16 RBI. They hit a ball today. He's a left-handed hitter for folks who don't know, and Lipscomb had the shift on. Pulled to right field.
Sure.
And he went the other way and just hit one, just almost one-handed, so just one hit up the top of the wall left center field. Just an amazing piece of hit. It just showed how strong that guy is. And Parks Harbor's another guy who hit one yesterday. He's a right-handed hitter. He went up the top of the scoreboard in right center field, and one of the longest pokes for a right-handed hitter that I've seen at Foley in a long, long time. You combine all these young freshman pitchers that they've got here. Jaden Woods, Liam Sullivan, Luke Wagner. This is a team that's got a good young talent. People just need to be patient with it. But I think in the next couple of years, it's going to be a very exciting team to watch.
Trent, you got anything?
That I know Georgia was beat up, at the beginning of the season. How healthy are they getting?
Right now they're about as healthy as they've been all season long. So they did miss Ryan Webb could not start the first weekend coming back from COVID, but he's back now with pitched 6 innings of a no-hit ball yesterday. And Jonathan Cannon had mono to start. He saw his first action last Tuesday against George Southern with a couple of shot innings, and today threw 4 innings, 1 hit ball with 4 strikeouts and no walks. So he's getting close. I'm not sure if he'll be able to go be full go next weekend against Tennessee. We'll probably be on like a 60 or 70 pitch count for that one, but he's another big gun for that rotation. He's a guy who's been, projected to be a first-round draft pick in the upcoming July draft. So you get this rotation with Ryan Webb, Jonathan Cannon, and either C.J. Smith or Luke Wagner. It'd be pretty good. I don't think you'll see this team, be a national seed like they've been in the past 2 seasons. But I still think the team could get into the NCAA tournaments, maybe a third or fourth seed. Again, like I said earlier, I think it'll be a very exciting team to watch moving forward because of these young freshmen.
Dash, I know Dave McMahon called in, said right now Georgia's ERA is a 2.35. I don't expect that to stay the same. Is that your thoughts as well?
Oh yeah, like I said, Ryan Webb and Jonathan Cannon are 2 of your better, I think, starters in the conference. I don't think they quite compare to what Vanderbilt has with Jack Leiter and Kumar Rocker, but he's still talking about 2 guys who will be able to keep Georgia in games. And just a matter of how much offense they'll be able to produce this ladder. Because, again, one thing with young kids, sometimes they're inconsistent. I think that's the biggest, worry they have right now. But overall, I think they'll be able to hold their own. If they get the 500 in SEC play this year, I think Coach Scott Smith will take that right now. I really do. But it's a team I think that's got a chance. There will be some growing pains this year. But, like I said, I still think they've got a shot to make postseason play.
Dash, 2 questions for you, and then we'll let you roll, man. Chuck Ward in the chat said he wanted to make sure how you were feeling post-COVID, and then we want to update on your nephew Carter Holton down there at Benedictine. How's he doing?
Yeah, well, I'm having the babysitting. There's some other stuff going on, so I'm recovering that pretty good. And that's my cousin, Carter Holton.
Oh, your cousin. My bad. Sorry.
My third cousin. His mom and I kind of grew up together, real close. But Carter, 2 weeks ago, had a perfect game against Camden County. Struck out in 16. Was really sharp. Hit 92, 93, which is a little below what his he's been averaging about 95. He just kind of took it off a notch or 2. But
95 lefty, man. Good God.
And Thursday they played New Hampton, which is not a very good team at all. He only went 2 innings, struck out all six batters that he faced before he took him out, hitting low 90s again in that one. So. Got a couple more starts coming up before they've got to go down over to Jacksonville to play the bowl school, which everybody knows Chippy Jones, old high
yeah,
school.
Oh yeah, Mac Jones too.
Yeah, that's right. So they got a very good program down there. So that's one of them. Personally looking forward to see how he does.
Well, Dash, we sure do appreciate you joining in with us, man, as always, and glad to hear you're recovering good from COVID, and can't wait to see more of your baseball coverage. And again, getting into spring practice here in just a little bit. Can't wait to see that as well. So appreciate you calling in, bro.
That's right. That's Tuesday. Yeah, man.
Yes, sir. See you. And there is Anthony Dasher. Really appreciate him calling in. His thoughts and expertise on everything UGA sports related. He is the guy. Chuck Ward, we also appreciate you asking about how Dash is feeling and, kind of connecting with him as well. So Dash is up and on the mend. He's been covering baseball at Foley. He's recovered pretty well from COVID. Just like he said, got a couple lingering issues, but really glad to hear that from Dash, and also thank you so much for the question, Chuck. If you're watching us, guys, the line's open for you guys as well. It's not just open for guys that we work with. We want to hear from you guys as much as possible. So, Chuck, call in, man. Talk to us, 706-363-3773. Jonathan Taylor, give us a buzz, man. You can talk to us as well. So, we've got a couple other topics for you guys. 8:30 is when the NIT bracket reveals. I don't know if they're going to do some type of fancy show with it. God, I hope not. I hope they just throw the 16 teams out there and we can see if Georgia's one of them. And then we're also going to touch on the O-line predictions, which I'll bring up in just a second. But, Trent, let's touch on these questions that we have. Chuck Ward said, Trent, do you see Kamari Lasseter as a safety first or possibly a star?
That's where I see him. I think I think he'll come in. I think he'll compete for a star position. I don't really see him, especially early in his career, as an outside corner. I think star safety would be more of the mold for him. I think there's a possibility he might cross train between those two positions, similar to the way Mark Webb did. But I do see him fitting in, in one of those two positions.
Best thing about this show right here, Trent, is that yes, it's on St. Pat. Is it St. Patrick's Day today? Am I tripping? No, it's Pi Day. It's Pi Day today. I don't know. But anyways, next show next Sunday, we're actually going to be able to have some UGA spring football talk for you guys. So we're going to have thoughts on the freshmen that are out there. Tons of other stuff really opening up for Georgia football moving forward, and a lot more that you guys can ask us about it. Right now, it's just kind of slow because, we don't have access to them. We have COVID going on and everything like that. So we want to get you guys as much football coverage as we can. And next week, I really think that that's going to ramp up a big, big time. Trent, I want to move over to this piece that we have. While we're waiting on the NIT here in just a bit, I think 9 to 10 minutes, we'll get a updated, at least hopefully we'll find out, unless they're doing some type of crazy show on ESPN where it's going to take an hour and a half to announce the NIT, which would just be horrendous. But I want to jump over to, we did this piece, Jim Donnan on the UGASports Live podcast with Roddy, Dane, and Jake, asked for us as a staff to put in our votes, if you will, for the starting offensive line against Clemson and then the starting offensive line against Georgia Tech. And if you're a member over at UGASports.com, I'm sure you've seen this article, but I wanted to bring it to you guys as well so you guys kind of have an idea of where everybody's head is. This is a unanimous poll, Trent. None of our names were attached to it. We did have to obviously send in our starting lineups to Dane, who compiled them and put them into this format. So I'm going to bring up the first one here on the screen. Now, guys, this is the predicted starting offensive line versus Clemson. These are the votes. We did it kind of like the all SEC coach or media polls, if you will, so you can see where our heads are at. So, and I cut it off right there. Xavier Trush had, I don't know who did this vote, and we will never find out. Somebody voted half for Broderick Jones and half for Xavier Trush. Was that you, Trent?
I can guarantee that wasn't me.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure. It wasn't me either. But so you can't. You can't.
Like Garvin move to me.
Yeah, it sounds like a PG Patrick Garvin move. And if you can, clip this and send it to him. See if he gets upset. But no. So right there at the bottom of the screen, Xavier Truss has half a vote, so it got cut off. But to bring you up to speed, left tackle, a lot of folks think Broderick Jones is going to be the starting left tackle against Clemson. Now, this is the first game of the season, guys. So this is the first game of the season against Clemson. So Broderick Jones at left tackle, Amarius Mims with 3 votes, McClendon with 2 votes, Salyer with 1 vote, and Truss with half a vote. Left guard, Sawyer with 8 votes, Schaefer with 2 votes, Warren Erickson with 6 votes at center, Cedric Van Pran with 4. Right guard, Schaefer got 7 votes, Erickson got 2, Sawyer got 1, and then right tackle, McClendon 8 votes, Broderick Jones with 2. Trent, who was your starting left tackle?
I'm trying to think back when I sent this in. I know Marius Mims was the left tackle at the end of the season. I had him penciled in for the last game of the season. I might have him penciled in for the first game of the season. I think Marius Mims is going to come in and make impact very early in his career. I think he's that good. At left guard, I had Sawyer there. At center, I had Erickson for the opener, but I think Van Pran will be the center by Georgia Tech. And I had Schaefer at right guard. I had McClendon at right tackle.
So I had Broderick at left tackle, Sawyer at left guard. I actually had Van Pran at center, and I was pulling this up. I did not hear you. Did you have Van Pran as well? Or did you have Erickson?
I had Erickson to start the year.
Okay.
I had Van Pran to end the year.
Okay. So my starting lineup was Jones, Sawyer, Van Pran, Schaefer, and Warren McClendon at right tackle. And then I'm going to pull up on the screen here for us, Trent, the last game of the season, which is versus Georgia Tech. And you can see it looks a little different, guys. Sawyer obviously still with most of the votes at left guard with 9. Schaefer with 7 votes at right guard. Those two guys are pretty much locked in. And then you see here a big change at center, actually. A lot of folks jumped onto the Cedric Van Pran train, which I was already on. I'm going to go ahead and put that out there that I have him starting against Clemson. But he's got 9 votes to be the starting center against Georgia Tech as the last game. And then left tackle Broderick Jones with 5, Mims with 5 votes, and then right tackle Mims with 5 votes, Broderick Jones with 4 votes. So I think the key takeaways from this, Trent, is Warren McClendon, a guy who played really well last year, looks like, as we all think, is going to get squeezed out of this starting lineup, but he's getting squeezed out because of 5-star Broderick Jones and 5-star Marius Mims. I mean, it's nothing really that is out of his control, right?
Yeah, and I can honestly say that I voted Broderick Jones at right tackle and Marius Mims at left tackle at the end of the year. I had Van Pran at center, Sawyer at left tackle. And I am that one vote of Tate Rowlett at right guard.
You are. Oh, so we found the masked singer, so to speak, of Ratledge at right guard. What are your thoughts? So you're saying a guy like Schaefer, who's been here for 95 years now, since 1995, it feels like, you're saying he's going to lose that spot, huh?
Well, I'm not. I mean, a lot can happen during the year, and there's injuries and all kind of other stuff, and I think Schaefer can end up being that swing guy, kind of similar to who was it a few years ago that played everywhere on the offensive line and never really Kendall Baker maybe.
Yeah.
Never really started that played everywhere on the offensive line, and I think Schaefer could be that guy that could play multiple spots on the offensive line, not moving out left tackle or anything, but I think he would be the sixth guy for sure. But I think Tate just reminds me of that road grader type, guard that you could put in there. And I think Schaefer's good, and I think Schaefer's had a good career. I just think that if Georgia's wanting to run the ball, they're going to have to get some beef on that offensive line. I think Tate Rowlett could be right there.
So, guys, that's kind of where we are as a staff in terms of who we think will start at the beginning of the year on to the end of the year. I think it's going to be one of, if not the best offensive lines Georgia's had in a long time in terms of just overall star power, Trent. I really do. Moving back to the 2-shot here. Well, we were both on that, Trent, just so you know, but I had the charts up there on the YouTube page, if you will, for us. But I think that they have a potential to, any way you play it, especially with having Schaefer come back, I think that it just adds in even more depth across the offensive line, Trent. And really, I don't think there's a wrong answer. I really don't. There's not a guy that I wouldn't want out there playing offensive line that hasn't proved himself. All of the answers on there were really good. So it's going to be interesting to see moving forward. I do want to find out who that half vote was for Broderick Jones and Also for Xavier Truss. And then Chuck Ward in the chat says, who voted for McClendon to start against Tech? Coach Donnan, question mark. That's the glory of it all. We don't know. We don't know, Trent. We gave away our picks right there, but the rest of them are silent, hush, secret, and I don't know if we'll ever find out. Mitchell Fletcher says, late this week, what a performance by Webb and Cannon this weekend. Diamond Dogs looking good. Jaden Wood brings it too. Collins is a monster. Yeah, Mitchell, you're going to have to go back once the show ends and listen to the interview we had with Anthony Dasher about the Georgia baseball team right now. And also Dave McMahon has some great stats for us as well. Right now, UGA's ERA for a team, 2.35, and Collins is hitting 364, 13-3 record, 4-game winners. You know, they haven't played any SEC competition yet. That's going to be the big thing moving forward. But overall, right now, as it sits, I'm sure Coach Strickland is very happy with how his team is progressing, especially like what Trent said. They've had some injuries as well. So let's see. A couple more questions before we see about this NIT bracket reveal. Jonathan Taylor says, is this the best receiver group UGA has ever had going into a season? Trent, is it the best ever?
I don't know about the best ever, but I can tell you it's the best in a while. And it's definitely the best under Kirby Smart. You know, I guess a few years ago they had a good receiver core back with Malcolm Mitchell and Chris Conley and all those guys were there. But you know that was a great receiver core, but they didn't necessarily have that. You know, I mean, there was also the years of AJ Green, Tavares King, but they didn't really have. I mean, you have your AJ Green, you have your George Pickens, AJ Green.
Yep.
Can he become that AJ Green? Can he stay on the field 12 games and be that go-to guy? I think you have a number 2 receiver that's also could be a high draft pick in Jermaine Burton. I think he has loads of potential, and then you have some guys like was Dominic Blaylock going to be healthy? Will we see more of Arian Smith, that speed on the outside? I think
Marcus Rosemy-Jackson, how's he recovering? You know, I mean, the list could go on, Trent.
The list could go on, and I think while I think it is the most talented group they've had, I think there's still a lot of uncertainties, you know, because you really didn't see much of Rosemy-Jackson, just because, he caught that touchdown pass, he broke his leg, and then that's kind of what you saw of him.
Yep.
Arian Smith sprint past cornerbacks and safeties, you know, 2 times, but that's all you saw of him. Dominic Blaylock's injury situation, you know, how's he going to come back? I think the talent, from a talent standpoint, it's the most depth they've ever had. I mean, you still have Demetrius Robertson.
You still got Kyrus Jackson. That's a guy I feel like nobody talks about. We just both skipped over him until he just popped in my head, and he was second leading receiver on the team last year. Yeah, I think the depth, Trent, to answer your question, Jonathan Taylor, the depth is definitely the best Kirby's had in his tenure, and in terms of the accolades and ability to just put different guys out there on the field, I think this is also his best chance at getting, you know, wide receivers to go above 1,000 yards, things of that nature. So let's see here. Oh, Rob Suggs in the chat. Rob Suggs, man, the man that makes all my writing look decent enough to be published on UGASports.com, says Trent. Well, he didn't ask Trent, but I'm going to ask Trent. Trent, will we see Cook catch more passes this year, you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think.
I feel like we've had that conversation every year, man. But we never. It's always like we thought he was going to. We thought he was, and then here we are. You're saying yes again?
Yeah, I mean, I think that you have to use a guy like Cook in the passing game, and I think that, and also I just think that he's a guy that you got to get the ball in his hands. You know, 15 times a game somehow. Running the ball, passing the ball to him. I just think you saw what he could do at Alabama. If you put him on the field, motion him out, he's going to be against a linebacker or a safety. He's going to beat that linebacker or safety 9 out of 10 times. So I think you have to take advantage of those mismatches. I think you saw a glimpse of that this year. and I think you'll see more of that moving forward. Just the way they use him and uh, you know move him, get him out in space and get him in mismatches.
Trent, I am looking right now as we speak. For those that are watching with us live, we appreciate it. For those of you guys who are watching afterwards, because there are a ton of you guys that watch afterwards, we sure do appreciate it. We're trying to figure out the NIT tournament, if Georgia is going to be in it. Apparently, it was going to be announced at 8:30. If you guys are watching and you have your TVs on, could you guys let us know if they're doing some type of like crazy NIT tournament bracket challenge? Because right now, I do not see anything about the NIT. Let me see if I can look over on the old Twitter and see. I think they are having a selection show, to be honest with you, Trent. I don't know if we're going to have the answers here while we're live on air. Let's see. NIT selection show. Are they doing one? Yep, they are. They are definitely doing an NIT selection show. So I don't think we're going to know. I don't think we're going to know just yet. If you guys want to take, we can take a couple more calls. 706-363-3773. We'd love to hear from you. Jonathan Taylor, I'm calling you out, man. Give us a call. Mitchell Fletcher, we haven't heard from you yet, bro. You are huge in the chat. Give us a call. We want to talk some UGA football, basketball, baseball, hoops dogs, hoops women dogs. We've got it all. We've got it all. Trent.
I knew you said you had something. Jake Roos is over in Texas, and
Oh yeah. We could talk about that. So Jake Roos was over in Texas at the Under Armour Dallas competition. Brett Weimer says it's on ESPNU. Brett, can you let us know in the chat if Georgia indeed makes it to the NIT? We would love that, man, to get a comment from you to let us know. While we're waiting on that, you're exactly right, Trent. Jake Roos, our own Jake Roos, is on a plane right now coming back to Georgia, and he was able to catch up with Bear Alexander. I'm not going to give it all away because it's over on the UGASports vault. What I can say, though, is that it sounds promising for Georgia right now with Bear obviously committed to Georgia. I don't see him flipping at this point. He has only visited Georgia and Clemson because obviously of COVID going on and everything of that nature. So I think it's going to take a lot to get Bear away from UGA. Obviously, if visits open up, which we all think that they will, for the college football season, anything could happen, right, with a guy coming from Texas of his caliber. But as of right now, I think Georgia is in the driver's seat with Bear. If you haven't already checked it out, go check out Jake's piece over on UGASports.com, the vault, the forum, and he's also got a ton of other players that he recaps and talks about over on the vault. So those are guys that he was able to catch up with Bear being the biggest one. So
I think one thing on Bear is that a lot of people don't really know, and we were the ones that broke the news on Bear back right before he committed to Georgia, is he's actually living with
a guardian
in Texas, but his father actually lived in Georgia, so
yeah.
He's around this area a lot. He's really familiar with this area, and I think this is the area that he can come back to, be closer to his father, and call home. And I think that's one big thing in this recruitment that has put Georgia near the top. I know he loves Georgia, and I know he loves Trey Scott, and I think that, along with his father being in Georgia, is two things that have really brought to Bear to Athens.
So, like I said, guys, tons of information from Jake being over there. Chuck Ward says Jake just came here for the brisket. You're probably not far from the truth there, Chuck. I know Jake's on a plane and can't defend himself right now, but you're probably not too far from the truth. I'm pulling up this in the world of technology. I've got the NIT bracket on my phone right here, trying to see. They are dragging this thing out, guys, and I don't want to leave you guys just sitting here waiting on us to find out if Georgia's in the NIT. It's the NIT. You've got 16 teams, Trent. We don't have 32. This is not March Madness. I understand you need ratings, but, can we just spit these teams out, bro? It's not that serious. I mean, obviously it is to these kids. They want to obviously keep playing basketball moving forward, but do we really need a whole 30-minute selection show? Here we go. So
Hey.
they've got first 4 out. Belmont, Furman, Marshall, and UAB are not making it into NIT. So they're not. So now they're showing the first 4 out of the NIT. So not only were you not in the NCAA tournament, now they're going to crush your hopes and dreams. Belmont, Furman, Marshall, and UAB even more by saying now you're the first 4 out of the NIT. Like, geez, man, just announce it.
It's a combination of things, and I know that it's ESPN, they like to drag stuff out, but with the last year that we've had in sports, I think a little excitement for these kids, whether it's the NCAA tournament or the NIT. I think these kids are going to draw excitement from this, and I think that's one thing in their favor, just to let these kids have a little excitement, and even though they're not going to the dance, they're going to the middle school dance. So.
Right. At least you're going to the dance. Trent, while we're waiting on this, Rob Suggs says America is in agony waiting for the NIT announcement right now. Obviously sarcasm from Suggs, but while we're talking about this, Georgia had a really good chance to win their first game in the SEC tournament. Have you ever, and I quote tweeted you on this over on your Twitter, have you ever seen a lane violation? So if you guys didn't watch the game, I'm sure a lot of you guys did. Justin Kerr had a lane violation from stepping over the 3-point line, trying to go to his spot, but it just seemed like an overall lack of awareness from Kerr. Also, I've never seen that called. I've seen lane violation calls where they're obviously on the block and things like that. They move too quick to try to get the rebound, but it just feels like that was like a accumulation of the whole season for Georgia all in one play. Plus, so many more plays in that game where they broke down right before half, let Missouri get the 3 off of 2 seconds inbounding the ball. What did you see that, Trent? What was that?
Yeah, and to me, I could see this coming from a freshman. This shouldn't be coming from a senior.
Grad transfer, bro.
Yeah, and it's. I'm not trying to be harsh, and I know he feels terrible about it. I'm sure.
I mean, he hit a 3 to make up for it after it, but had he not done the lane violation, then it could have been a tied game. They wouldn't have been down by 1.
Right, and I just think it's whether it gets called 100% of the time or 50% of the time, I don't know, but it was just it was a terrible decision. And when the kid's got the ball in his hands shooting a free throw, you got to be aware of that situation. And as a senior, you should know better than to do that. And it killed Georgia in the end. I think it actually could have been. He didn't even get that free throw. It was called dead before, and then Kamari missed the next free throw, so he missed both of them. And then he did come down and hit a 3, but they were already down by 4 if they missed after they went down and made 2 free throws. So it was a 2-point swing, and when that swing happens like that, it don't matter. It was great that he came back down and answered with a 3, but it was too late at that point.
Rob Suggs just said, did anyone else just see a small rodent scurry out of my beard? Rob, this beard is heavily taken care of. It is massaged daily. I condition it. There are no rodents in this beard. Chuck says, Paul, what the Yukon Cornelius look going on. You guys, I'm going to block all of you. I'm never going to let you watch a show again. I don't care if our numbers dip down. Chuck, you're out. Rob, you're out. Bye. See you later. To get back to show, Trent, have you been preparing for your 40-yard dash that you said you could do under 5 flat?
I don't know. I think I prepared today. That walk, Carrollton football field to the soccer field, you have to be well conditioned for that walk. Take it about 3 or 4 times. So, I'm getting there.
And while we're trying to fill time, they are announcing the NIT right now. Buffalo's a number 4 seed. I didn't see who they're playing. I saw Brett Weimer said Mississippi State and Ole Miss are in. Georgia has a potential. We're not going to stay on here forever. We've got 5 more minutes, guys. We're going to try to fill 5 more minutes to see if Georgia's in this NIT. If not, the title to the whole call-in show was a lie. We were going to announce it here. I'm not staying on here forever because I thought it was just going to be like an 8:30 thing. We could come on here, see if they were in, talk about their season, but we're not able to. Davidson's a number 2 seed. Great. All right. I don't know where we're at right now, guys. This show's taking a turn. We're trying to find out if Georgia's in the NIT. Trent, can you see anything on Twitter? Is there somebody like is Adrian Wojnarowski dropping Woj bombs right now about the NIT potentially before it's announced on ESPN?
It looks like NC State will play Davidson.
I see that. I just saw that on here.
Like Colorado State has a 1 seed.
Yep. So they're the one playing Davidson. So there's 4 out of the 16 teams. Brett Weimer said Miss State and Ole Miss are in. So we've got 6 out of the 16 teams. Guys, we are working through this together, okay? We're going to find out if Georgia's in the NIT. Oh, we've got 4 more teams. Boise State, SMU, Memphis, and Dayton. So now we've got – Georgia's not?
Colorado State versus Buffalo, Davidson versus NC State, Boise State versus SMU. SMU only had 11 wins, and they made it.
Damn.
Memphis versus Dayton. And then the other side is St. Louis versus Mississippi State, Richmond versus Toledo, St. Mary's versus Western Kentucky, and Ole Miss versus Louisiana Tech.
So you heard it here first, folks. UGA basketball is not in the NIT. I think potentially had they pulled off that game against Missouri and gotten a little further into the SEC tournament, maybe they could have gotten in. Trent, if you could do me a favor, look up Ole Miss's record and Mississippi State's record. See where they're at compared to Georgia.
15-14. Ole Miss finished 16-11.
Okay, what about in conference?
NC State finished 13-10.
You mean Miss State?
What?
Mississippi State, is that who you're talking about?
No, I said Mississippi State finished 15-14. Ole Miss finished 16-11.
So SEC basketball standings. Let's see.
15-14, 11.
Yeah, I know. I want to see what they finished in conference. Or is that's not their conference, right?
Well, I mean, Ole Miss, Georgia play? Who they played in Missouri.
Let's see. Southeast. So you said Ole Miss. So Mississippi State was 8-10. Georgia was 7-11. Mississippi State was 15-14. Georgia was 14-12. And then Ole Miss, rightfully so, Ole Miss 10-8, 16-11. They should be there. So there you go, folks. We're wrapping up the show. Georgia did not make the NIT. It looks like they were close, but we saw who the next 4 out were, and Georgia was not one of them. So maybe the committee was not, obviously, the NIT committee was not on board with Georgia. Their roller coaster season of emotions where they looked like one team one week and looked like another team the next. So, guys, there you go. Right here at the end of the show, UGA men's basketball did not make the NIT, so what are you going to do? I think that Tom Crean stays around another year. I know we talked about that last week. I think Tom Crean stays around one more year, Trent. They give him one more chance to come back with Severe Wheeler, Kamara, KD Johnson, potentially try to add a guy that's 7 foot tall potentially. That would be cool, or 6'10", to put into the paint and see what happens next week or next year. As for us, we're going to see what happens next week, guys. We're going to go ahead and call the show. And next week, Trent, we've got a lot to talk about. I already know. We're going to have recruiting updates from you. We're going to have Jake Roos on the show at some point to discuss these trips he's taking and spending Roddy's money for these recruiting camps he's getting to go to all around the country. And then also we're going to talk to you guys about spring football. We want to hear from you guys next week. 706-363-3773. Make sure to go ahead and put that phone number into your phone. I'm sure we'll hear from Dash. We'll hear from Dave McStats, the rest of the gang. Trent, you got anything else to sign off with?
Nope. We'll be at camps all weekend next weekend also. So.
Yeah, we are going to camps next week. So we'll have all that.
We'll have a lot to cover.
So guys, Chuck Ward, Rob Suggs, Brett Weimer, Mitchell Fletcher, Jonathan Taylor, all of you guys, we appreciate you watching as well as the ones who didn't put anything into the chat but helping our numbers out so we don't get fired from the boss. So we will see you guys next week, 7:30 Sunday for the UGA Sports Call-In Show. I'm Paul Maharry. I'm going to get this right this time. That's Trent Smallwood. We will see you guys later. Thanks again for watching and have a great week.